Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in this beautiful world of ours. Welcome again to Reno by Night. Speaking of night, a night has passed since the events that transpired, the destruction of the parish of Our Lady in the Snow, the banishing of the wicked spectre to wherever it came, hopefully to be tormented once more for its sins, and the disappearance of Diedrich Graves as he walks alone into the desert, either to greet the sun or to go into permanent exile. The prince awakes for this evening with his ghoul standing over him. It is understandable. He normally delivers the news to the prince every evening when he arises from his tomb/bedchambers. But this time it's different. This time the ghoul looks incredibly nervous as he holds a letter in his hand, a letter that has the seal of the Balefire Coalition on it. The prince doesn't say anything. He simply takes the letter, and in the dim light of the night church, he opens it. The letter is very, very simple. It says, "We need to speak on behalf of Clan Cappadocian and the Balefire Coalition." Signed, the Lord of Skulls. The prince almost drops the letter. He was not expecting this. This is not good. For he has heard about the Lord of Skulls. He has heard about this individual, one of the most iconic. One who was not always on the side of the Camarilla, but now is their erstwhile ally, and one who very specifically seeks to make sure that Clan Cappadocian benefits considerably from their alliance with Clan Salubri and the Camarilla. What he wishes to talk about, well, the prince can guess. He looks to the ghoul. The ghoul says that an address was sent along with the letter. One that was not an address to any location, but to a... He hesitates on the words. But then he says, to a online chat room. The prince sighs. It seems that the Lord of Skulls knows who he is and is making a show of that knowledge. He says, "When is it to begin?" And again, the ghoul frowns. Then he says, "It was supposed to begin 5 minutes ago." The prince doesn't respond, but his fist is clenched. Again, making sure that the prince would be late. That is a slight that will go remembered, but there's nothing he can do about it for now. Suffice it to say, it seems the Lord of Skulls is in control of this situation, and so the prince, with as much dignity as he can muster, gets up and follows his ghoul out of the night church, out of the Church of St. Augustine to the rec center, to the computer room of the rec center. The ghoul hurriedly accesses the chat room. The prince sits down, he breathes, he focuses, he gains control of his shadow. He will appear as any normal kindred would for the following meeting. And then he enters. But what does he enter to?
As you enter the chat room, you'll see a face appear. A face that you can't tell whether it is human or skeletal. It seems to blend together. It seems to be a corpse-like face of unknown proportion, and you'll hear a booming voice. Ah, Father Aules, or Prince of Reno, I thank you for appearing before me.
The pleasure is all mine, says the prince. I do apologize for being late. The time zones here are a little different from where the Bellfire Coalition is positioned. Tell me, how is the East Coast around this time? I hear it is lovely.
I do not tend to leave my haven as much as I wish, but know that things are well placed in our domain of Europe. How is the fair, wild west of this US of A?
The prince smiles. It is quite interesting, as you are no doubt aware. But I do have some good news. It is certainly less haunted. It seems that our mutual friend was able to succeed, but as for his current fate, it remains unknown. He chose to wander into the desert as his exile, and I will be finding out very soon whether he still lives or not.
Yes, I heard of your letter, your note describing the events that have occurred in your small domain of Reno. It aroused my interest that this Graves, one of my grandchild, one of my bloodline, was able to perform such an advanced task, if was proven.
Oh, it was proven, for it was he who banished the creature, as was commanded by me. He has proven to have a knack for matters of the spectral, almost like another vampire of Clan Cappadocian, but he decided to use it for other, less savory reasons, if I am not mistaken. I am not too familiar with your clan's history, but the legends are quite famous.
Heed well, do not question such things of my clan. Perhaps you can answer a few of mine of yours, but perhaps some things are best left in the dark, in the shadows.
But of course, I meant not to pry. It is just I hadn't seen a kindred with that level of skill before. It was interesting, to say the least.
Graves was a subject of one of our clan's experiments. We proved it fruitless and ended it. Graves's exile from Europe to your US of A was a unique political maneuver. But what amazes me is that he was able to do as you describe. And banishing such an entity is also intriguing. And you say that he survived the process.
From what my scouts reported, he did. As to whether he survived at the dawn, that remains to be seen.
You also noted in your simple letter that he had or acquired a Giovanni book, and this was responsible for his knowledge of this ritual of resurrection.
As far as I'm aware, yes. Our scholar at the time was attacked before being able to completely translate what the book said. However, now that the threat has passed, I will be sending out my subjects to retrieve all of Graves' writings, so that way I will be able to deliver them to the Balefire Coalition, as is our agreement.
This book is known to us. Graves believes this was given to him, but it would seem he had more talent than we first believed. The Cappadocians of the Balefire Coalition will offer you a major boon for all of his notes and resources that he had acquired while in Reno.
That is a very generous offer. I will ensure that they are all collected with most haste.
I do warn you, though, such power can draw the attention of others, not of the Cappadocian clan. Others that may wish dread upon your little city of Reno.
I have begun to discover as such. You see, several of my subjects have even grown an unhealthy fascination with Graves' research. I believe my letter may have mentioned that, but I have kept an eye on these individuals. And suffice to say, I'll make sure that their curiosity remains simply that, just a curiosity.
All such tomes of knowledge from Graves should remain secret to only those of the Cappadocian blood. Any that would attempt to fool themselves in understanding the secrets therein would only doom themselves. As you've seen, Graves was no fool, but even he suffers.
The prince doesn't respond. He simply nods.
So we will come to a accord. If you deliver the research notes of Graves, his books, his relics, a major boon will be offered to you on behalf of the Cappadocian of the Balefire.
We are at an accord, then. I will deliver them to you. Out of character, though, the prince is only partially telling the truth. He
Okay.
fully intends to copy the stuff down before giving them back.
Give me, if you want to do your manipulation subterfuge, and if someone rolls, I'm going to say 8 dice for manipulation or perception subterfuge for the Cappadocian.
All right. And roll. I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes.
All right. I'm assuming this guy's probably very manipulative, so I'm assuming you have 8 dice in being able to detect. So if someone could roll that.
It's alright, I'll roll for it.
Cool. Oh no, I think Emily's got it.
Oh, nice.
No, he doesn't detect you. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, he'll again this very plain, stern face sort of looks at you, just nodding, accepting what you're saying. But he will add, I am unsure as how to Graves banished this entity. Through what means did he do such a powerful thing?
It unfortunately remains beyond my knowledge at this moment. The only evidence I have is that a ritualistic skull was unfortunately recovered by the kind investigators, that it involved the church in which it took place erupting into a great firestorm.
Wait, silence. A skull, you say?
The prince is taken back, but then says, yes, a skull.
He pauses for a very long few moments, and though even with his skull mask or skull face, you're not sure, it seems to move and edge as if it had life. And then he'll look back towards the camera, and this skull is of interest to the Cappadocians, and we offer another major boon for its capture, if you survive the process.
The skull is in police custody, but my subjects have their fingers in many pies, as the old saying, well, I suppose, new saying goes. I should be able to switch it out for something else. There's an abundance of skulls, after all, if you know where the bodies are buried. And I
Do
do.
not speak of things you don't understand, my dear prince. This skull is of importance to the Cappadocians. This skull will bring doom on your little city. Do yourself a favor and bring it to us for this major boon.
Oh, do not misunderstand. I'm simply using more new turns of phrase. I'll make sure that the skull is recovered, and that it is delivered along with Graves's research to the Balefire Coalition, specifically a Cappadocian representative of the Balefire Coalition. Although we are currently out of those at the process, I suppose you will be sending a emissary shortly.
One of our clan will emerge in your small city. He will deal with any negotiation of our terms, but he will be treated with the full respect of the prince to further the relations of the Balefire Coalition.
But of course, we are allies after all, and that would just be rude, treating your allies such.
Of course, my mighty Prince of Reno, we shall ally ourselves, work together to benefit the kindred community of this new world.
Very well, then. I have quite a lot of planning to do, messages to send, artifacts to retrieve. I should leave you to your night, then.
Of course, my prince. It is a pleasure to speak to one of such high standing as yourself. Be assured this will not be the last time we speak. I bid you a good night, my prince.
And I to you, Lord of the Skulls.
Cut it off. The transmission will end.
The prince will sigh. He will turn to his ghoul who is in the hallway, just pretending not to listen, and he will say, "We need to gather what little we have and find out what else Graves has been hiding in the bunker, as well as where that damn ghost hid the book that was stolen from Calliope. I need you to do something for me, my servant." The ghoul will nod, and as the prince begins to lay down his plan, our scene cuts away from the rec center to a pan shot of the city of Reno and the shadow that the Cappadocians have brought over it. What the future holds, we'll just have to find out. But thank you for watching, and have a wonderful night.